know if I should do this. It's going to be a very touchy subject. ADHD. Is it being overdiagnosed? Why is there so many more people that all of a sudden have it? What is going on? Have you ever heard those statements before? I used to say that in conversations. I've been among many people who have also said the same thing. I've even been to doctors who said that shit. The funny thing is, 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with ADHD. Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Or how do you think someone would feel when they get diagnosed with Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder? It's a f***ing negative word for something that's not really that. Yesterday, on a shoot, everything just went wayward. Just unloading on a situation that I was in the moment.
But you know what? F it. This video is me buying a break.
I was just gonna put that up, the raw emotion, so people can see what happens behind the scenes.
What a f***ing day.
I could have just done that, but when I was watching it back, I was noticing all these traits that I've learned about myself. I was reluctant to do this, and it's very late on a Friday now. I'm actually running out of time, I think, but I'm going to push through like I do all the time, and I'm going to use myself as the subject and explain ADHD, what it really is.
I don't know how it should be. It's just like... Despite what it might look like, this video was actually pretty hard to do. But I'm feeling already better knowing that I'm not going to have to hide my ADHD anymore. And there's a term thrown around called masking, and I've been doing it for a very long time. Even before I was diagnosed with it, I was reserved, holding back. And that's why I want to do this video, because I'm going to feel like there's a weight off my shoulders, because now I don't have to hide anything anymore. But there are a lot of people out there who are going around undiagnosed. And the best thing that happened to me was finally getting diagnosed with ADHD. And the only reason why that happened was because one of my daughters got diagnosed with ADHD. I was fighting tooth and nail. There's no way she's got ADHD. Can't have. No, she's fine. Thinking it was such a bad thing. Now that I know so much more about it, and because I have it myself too, I really looked into it. And I figured out why I can do some things that many people or neurotypical people just can't do. But then there are many things that I struggle with that neurotypical people find it easier. But just understanding why, and you can learn more about yourself, that is what's helped me. That is what's changed my life. Look, I'm not qualified to talk about specifics. This is my experience. But I find that now I can communicate with my child in a much better way, so it doesn't turn into this 1 hour, 2 hour ordeal, because children with ADHD, it's not a walk in a park, and there will be parents watching this that will definitely agree with that. And I was one of them as a kid. I know that I was a pain in the ass as a kid, swinging off curtains and all kinds of stuff. But this video is dedicated to anyone who feel different, want to know more about ADHD. To set the scene, I'm going to start with my bad day. This is what winching reminds me of. Problems and weather. My winch doesn't work. And that's one of my lessons. Lesson number 1, before you go anywhere, always check that your winch works. Especially if you're going to talk about winching recoveries.
Get out the rain, Ronny!
Ronny's such a nice guy. And we're just hanging out under the awning and he's packing up all the road.
Well, here is observation number 1. Now, what I just want to stress is I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not qualified in any of that stuff. All I'm talking about is from my own experience, from what I've learnt about this and what are common traits that I share with ADHD. So why am I out in the rain? Well, that's because I'm hyper-focused. I just want to get it done. I could simply have waited 5 minutes for the showers just to pass. But no, I want it done now.
You know, if I drenched myself right now, I'll be just as soaked.
And that's pretty much with everything. And that is a good trait, but it's also a bad trait. The bad side of it is getting fixated on something so small and minute, it doesn't really matter. But you get so fixed on it that the bigger picture of what you're trying to do is now compromised because you've wasted so much time on something that doesn't really matter. But in this case, it's beneficial. People don't want to stand out in the rain soaking wet. In my mind, I'm already wet. I want it done now. So it definitely has an advantage. You get shit done, but you also get stuck doing shit that doesn't need to be done.
This is a pretty neat mod you got there. What's the technique?
This is, don't want the rope to jump off while I'm driving and get caught up in my car because I can't wind it in. I've got 4 projects on the go, and this one just shut the thing because I didn't check if the winch worked before we came out here.
I'm sure many people have multiple projects happening at the same time, but it's a good example or lead into how many thoughts go through my head during the day. At any given time, there could be like 10 things going on inside here. All these random ideas pop up. And that's absolutely awesome because there's so many creative ideas I come up with, random ones too.
And poor Kevin is standing in the rain the whole time. You right, Kevin? Nah, he's gone nuts like me.
Half of them are shit. The other half are generally pretty good. The downside, because there's so many things going on, you tend to forget about some things.
So this has been the story of my last year.
Now pop up out of nowhere. When something pops up that you totally forgot about, which does tend to happen for ADHD people, sometimes it's usually quite important, like...
What am I forgetting? School pickup. Shit.
Continuing this video right now while I'm running to a school drop, and that's another thing. Perception of time, there is now and that's it. So until something enters my now, it's not on my radar. And that's usually I've got to be at the school at this time. I'll leave myself just enough time to get there. And a lot of the time it catches me out. Hence why I'm always late to a podcast, late to meetings, late to all kinds of stuff. But it's because I'm maximizing every single minute. Yet, the flip side is I can make simple mistakes with small things, like grabbing the wrong microphone. That microphone's paired up to a different camera. And I grabbed the wrong one.
I will go right down to the minute where I know that neurotypical people will go and get there and make sure they've allowed for traffic, or they get too many red lights or whatever. They always make sure they get there on time, before time. Whereas I will either rock up right on the dot or I'll be late. I don't think I've been on time at the podcast once, ever. No, there was one time. I got the time wrong. But on more of a serious note, overthinking part starts coming in when things come up that are important, and say that it's like a project, but I'm already working on this other project, and then people are wanting VOs from me at the same time, but then at that same time there was something I neglected to do the day before, and that's now come up at the same time. And then all of a sudden your mind starts racing. Which one should I do first? And then you try and do all of them, but that's not going to happen, because if you put it all on paper and you worked it all out, you're never going to do that as an ADHD person, because this has got to happen now. Now. We've got to get this done, got to get this, got to get that done, got to get that done. Which one's more important? I don't know. Is this one? Hang on, what about that one? But if I do that one first, then, honestly, this is that hyperdrive haze up here. Now, for some people, this can be really debilitating, and they're often labelled as lazy. They're not lazy, they're just struggling to come to terms with what they got to do. Sometimes that happens. I can have a really non-productive day, and other times I can get 3 times more done in one day than most people probably would.
And my struggle lately has been work until, usually on Fridays, 1 a.m, 2 a.m, 3 a.m, seems to be the pattern.
And that's why at night I'm very creative and I'm super hyper-focused, because no one's there to distract me. No one needs any VOs 11 o'clock at night.
A lot's happened in the past year. So I went from having a big team, and eventually it just got too much. It turned into a management job. I wasn't enjoying it anymore. I've now been on my own for quite some time, and now slowly building a team again. I've learned the hard way. So there have been people that have come and gone, and they've been immensely help. They've been good, they've been great. And probably the best person I've ever had working for me was Jono. We work a bit remotely. And then there was Dan. Dan, he's awesome. deported. We still work together, and that's part of the reason why I'm working late nights. When my day should finish, his day begins. I'm not very organised, you know, there's a reason for that, and that's for another time maybe. For another time, eh? There is no organisation with ADHD. Actually, it's organised chaos. I'm a bit embarrassed to show you the table that's over here, but I think we're well beyond worrying about being embarrassed by now. There is so much shit on that table, but I know exactly where every single thing is. Well, kind of. It's like I know, but I don't know. It's like I subconsciously know it's on this table somewhere. I know it is. It's like intuition. Yet it's pretty common that I'll leave my car keys somewhere and I just don't know where they are. Also recall once walking around the house looking for my sunglasses, getting really pissed off and frustrated because I spent ages looking. I even looked in the fridge. Lo and behold, I ended up looking in the mirror. They're on my head. Have you ever tried sneaking up on a person with ADHD? Like try and sneak up on them and then scare them? It doesn't seem to work on me, and it doesn't seem to work on my daughter either. We're aware of everything around us, but unless it's interesting or it catches our eyes, we're not really focusing on that one thing. We're focusing on everything around us. And I think that's the easiest way to explain what it's like. Friday night, hopefully 3 a.m, bust out, I'm done. Saturday, back to work, working out what I'm doing next week. And that's what I'm talking about, the week-to-week cycle. The week-to-week struggle I've been stuck in for so long. And that's what it's like being a YouTuber. I better rephrase that. That's what it's like being a YouTuber with ADHD. Oh, I absolutely love it. I'm my own boss, it's hard work, and that's also what I love about it. I could tell you about so many more traits and situations, but I think I need to provide some evidence of me actually improving, because you've heard me working until 1, 2, 3 a.m. and right now it's 6:45 and I've got to go home and feed the family. How have I actually improved? Well, earlier in the video, you would have heard me talk about, I used to have a big team. It was just too much of a management role, but I had to do everything else at the same time. It was just so much. It was overwhelming. So, made a big change, back to myself again. What do I do? And it's taken me probably 6 months to figure this out. I need someone to manage me, to keep me in line, to keep me on the right path.
Yep.
The amount I'm capable of doing already in 1 week is nuts. But to keep doing that day in, day out, it is taking its toll on family time, I will say that. If I can be kept on the right path, could you imagine what I'll be able to punch out on YouTube?
Oh man, fun and games.
That's where I'm at now, is a new journey of having someone here to help manage me. I've got another person managing some other things for me, and those are just my business and work life that are improving as we speak. And my personal life and stuff, well, there's way too many to list, and I couldn't even remember them all because it's just been a bit of a journey. But the main thing is, it's just understanding what the problem is or understanding why you do certain things. That's what's helped me out. Knowing about it. Knowing why. I think I made it very clear that I've been very reluctant to do this for a while, but I've been wanting to do it. I've been really wanting to do it. And the more I think about why, the more reasons are popping up in my head. So masking, that's one thing. Masking means you're trying to hide what you have, right? And even before I knew I had it, I was kind of pulling myself back a lot, going, okay, what I'm going to do here, people are going to think it's weird, can't do that. The other reason, this one hit home pretty hard actually. We're driving to the shop and there was this disabled parking bay. And one of my daughters said, why don't you just park here real quick? And I was like, no. For starters, I don't do that. And two, people might recognise the car in the disabled zone. Can you imagine that going on social media? No. My youngest daughter said, who has ADHD, well, it's okay, Dad, because I've got a disability. And I said, well, what do you mean you got a disability? Well, that's what they say at school. Obviously not the teachers, but some of her fellow peers have told her she has a disability because she's got ADHD. And I said to her, ADHD is not a disability. It's actually, in a way, I don't like using the term superpower because there are many that do struggle with ADHD a lot different than what I do from what I understand and what I've heard. But look, if you find your passion, honestly, I'm going to use the term superpower because that's what it is for me. If I didn't have this, I wouldn't be where I am now in this space. If I never found four-wheel driving, maybe I don't know what I would have been doing. I might have found something else, some other passion. But that's the other thing. With ADHD, you have all these different hobbies. It's very spontaneous. You do this, you do that. And a lot of them you don't stick with. And the reason why we don't stick with them is because that wasn't our passion. We lose patience. We're on to the next thing. We're on to the next thing. On to the next thing. And then all of a sudden, something just sticks. It just clicks. Now it's starting to rain, so I'm out of here. I've got to get home and I've got to feed the family.
Was that a ramp dummy spit or a burnout? What was that? What was that before? I feel much more refreshed now though.